thing. I do a lot, I get some
Fine.
exercise.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
just got one, I had two.
You gotta walk.
I
No,
do.
you got one.
Well,
Okay,
And
perfect.
the one I have
I'm
is
walking
real
now,
simple.
now my
That's
heels are
50% better.
I don't know if it's.
Need some new
Real,
shoes.
actually, it's easier than the first one, a lot easier, so it probably got 75% easier.
Alright, that sounds good. I like that. Let me know when we're ready.
Alright, hold on one second,
Except for when I drink too much, then I feel like shit.
Poured 15 concrete jobs today.
Did you?
Yeah. Ready to fall over dead. Me and one guy.
Is, those two gonna be here?
No, I don't know about Bob. I know Kat's not coming.
I know.
Her son's confirmation,
Yes.
maybe? Something like that. Yeah.
because we are gonna have, on May 21st, we're gonna do that community development,
Yeah,
which,
okay.
that guy's gonna come from that,
Alright.
the 11.
We are good to go.
Go ahead and call it.
Yep.
Call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Burnside?
Here.
Mr. Bigley is here. Mr. Ballack is absent. We have Chief Agnon here tonight to speak about a new piece of equipment and the possibility of us purchasing it. Mike, floor is yours.
Yeah, just if you guys have any questions, we're still putting grants, trying to get a new one, but, I mean, this is
Listen,
gonna replace one of the ones
I
we
guess
have,
in my
but
way of thinking,
both
you need
18
it.
years.
this is an opportunity to buy
Yeah.
something undervalued that would last you quite a while, I get it.
Right.
And from what I understand, you do have the funds in your EMS account to pay
Yes.
for it. Then we would look to sell two older pieces of equipment that are basically getting retired
Yeah.
to recoup some of the funds. And we do have reoccurring revenue in that account to hold us
From
over.
transport.
So if we buy this one and by chance we do get a grant, then get the new one, and then we have two that we don't have to worry about for a long period of time. It's just,
Right.
does anybody have an issue?
No, I think just the bed system is 60 grand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just that
And
loading
you want,
system.
and they want 90, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I don't really think,
It's all had
to be
records.
honest, I don't really think we have a choice. This is
No.
something we committed to doing with the EMS. We need to make sure our equipment is running right to do that.
And it only has 60,000 miles on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's like a brand new car.
And it was, and I read all the records, I went over all the
Yeah,
records,
we're
and
going
everything
through
was.
them. They take care of their equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really.
Yeah, from what Chrissy has said, to my understanding, the funding is there. It will be a bulk of what is in the EMS account, but we will be able to free up other funds to keep
Sure.
it without an issue. Something we need. Does anybody have a problem with it?
Not whatsoever.
Perfect.
So you're asking us just to, put some legislation together for this, so.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, I don't even.
Yeah,
know.
well,
She said.
I'm assuming Chrissy is gonna want
For
legislation,
purchase,
and
yeah.
if she
I know
doesn't,
with bigger stuff.
yeah, I mean, with $90,000, I would assume it's gonna go through us, but you have 4 here that don't have an issue, so.
Perfect.
And I don't assume anybody else is gonna have it.
No.
Yeah, I kinda did go over with Mike Patrick, cause that's, him and Ricky are my car guys, when I get something new.
Yeah,
I
sure.
Start talking to him.
Sure.
He seemed pretty good with it.
I don't, again, with the other stuff, I don't presume to know what you need in an EMS vehicle. I know it needs to run and be reliable and not cost us tens of thousands of dollars annually to keep an old one running. So that part I know. You know what you need. If that's what you need and we can afford it, then I'm in favor of it.
I agree.
And Mike, where do we store them?
521, that's the one I'm under, which one is it?
News station.
Both of them?
5215.
At the news station? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see no
Well, if
fee
we
yet.
ever, once we get rid of the fire truck, I'd like to put one down there, so we have room,
Okay. That
but
hasn't
we
happened.
got it, yeah, Cat's on it, she's,
Okay.
said let's get rid of it, I said.
That's what I thought.
I'm ready.
Okay, it's at the old
I didn't
station?
see no fee
That-
when I
there's
was
an
looking
engineer,
at
I'd
it.
like to put the backup
But I thought,
ambulance
let me
there,
double check.
Okay.
once we get rid of the truck that's in there.
Well, anytime we buy something new, always good to recoup some cash and get rid of some dead weight.
Yeah.
You know, update our stock. So we're all good.
Okay, perfect.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Thank you.
Have any
Thanks for
questions,
coming.
give me a call.
All right,
Get back to
thanks.
baseball field now.
All right, Mike.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike.
I'll talk to you later.
John, you got something for us too?
Yeah, this is, I brought it up last time about having a uniformed officer whenever there's some work to be done in the city. This is just the start, you want it
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
proposed ordinance that would create section 305.13 of the codified ordinances, and it basically just says whenever a designated street, now we're gonna have to define designated street. I don't know which streets.
I would be honest with these, I could see it for main thoroughways. So if we were talking about Center Street, Poland Avenue, but if you're talking about Creed Street, if you're talking about one of those, I don't see you needing a, officer on the side streets.
Yeah, my understanding was the request was being made for the main,
Yeah, it would just,
it wouldn't be,
okay. I could see it on main arteries, I couldn't really see it
we're not gonna
anywhere
do it
else.
on Lake Shore.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah,
Now, let me ask you this, John. Is it our responsibility, or like if it is like on a state route, for our guys to be there, or is it Mahoney County's?
I don't know the answer to that, I was looking into that before I left and I didn't get a clear answer as to.
counties generally would call
It's the-
sheriff's department.
Correct.
Right.
So I don't even know if 616 would apply to this either. Fifth Street, I think might be a main artery.
I mean, the only reason I ask now is, we have one guy sitting there, and we're obviously two down.
Bridge Street, that would be, I think that would be considered.
Well, and also too, we would have to define, the work would have to be defined into the roadway. If you were working on the side of the road, I don't really think that warrants, an officer.
Well, this would say whenever it necessitates the blocking of the street for any reason. For
Okay.
any construction or any work. Again,
When you
this
say
is a-
blocking of street, are you blocking both lanes, or you blocking one lane?
What, I guess that's stuff that we would eventually have to iron out.
It says blocking or closing.
Blocking or closing, whether partially or in its entirety. But this is just something to get started, to get the ball rolling, the conversation started.
Okay.
I said I would present something, so I just wanted to present something in,
Like I said, I'm
You guys
for it on the main arteries, and I'm for it when so we have ordinance here that if the road has to be cut, you have to go to the center line. Remember that?
are we, I wanted to ask Bob about that, because, like going up 616, they have that much.
Yeah.
You're saying this, has it been repaved,
Right.
or are they
Or
repairs
that
that
plate's
still
up?
need done?
It's repaired, it looks like they have to do some more work there, but are they gonna go center line on that? Because that's a cement road,
We require center line.
I know, are we gonna adhere to that?
Well,
That's what I wanted
however,
to ask
I
Bob.
don't, that would be more of a question for John, because that's state route. I don't know that our local laws still govern that, is that correct?
yeah, I suspect the answer is going to be that we don't really have much of control over 616.
I would kinda think the same, because no matter what city I work in, when I'm working on a county road even, I have to abide by the county standards. So that I honestly don't know.
Does anybody know how much longer that's gonna take?
I
Have any
I have no idea
I
what
was
they're
hoping
even,
Bob would be
what they're
here for
even
that.
doing. I mean, I know they're running gas line,
Yeah,
but that I don't know. But I do know everywhere else in the city that we own, that a city road, Struthers City Road, has to be cut to the center line. So when you're cutting to the center line, you're blocking a whole lane.
right,
Blocking a whole lane on any main road, you should have either a cop present or something, if you're taking a whole lane. If you're taking a whole lane on any side road, there's still plenty of room to get around.
Sure.
It shouldn't be any issue. But on the main roads, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Just for everybody involved, the people working, the city in general, the residents that are driving by.
Well, this is a start for what you want to start.
Yeah,
That's
and I'm working with Matt Haas on this, and Matt's on vacation this week. When he gets back next week, I'll have him throw out the roads that he was thinking about, and again, this is your guys'.
Off the top of my head, I mean, you're gonna have more than likely Center Street,
Fifth Street,
Fifth Street. I would have said 616, but
We don't know
that's
yet.
gonna fall under the jurisdiction
Well,
of.
Poland Avenue,
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think we can still require them to have an officer there. We may not have the, authority to dictate the restoration work that goes down on those, but we still probably could dictate that they need an officer on 616.
Might agree with that.
Yeah,
So, looking at that 616. I mean, Youngstown Poland Road, but
probably Midlothian on
Yeah.
our side,
probably,
yeah.
there's only a handful,
yeah.
there really
Well,
is.
actually, Midlothian's a state route too, isn't it?
Yeah,
626,
I guess
right?
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, but like I said, I think that we can dictate the safety requirements we require in our city. I don't know that we can dictate the restoration portion. That'd be something John could probably look into for
Yep,
us.
like I said, I started to, I just wasn't getting a clear cut answer.
Okay,
But I suspect, I mean, that sounds very reasonable and suspect that's what it's gonna be.
reasonable guy.
You're a reasonable guy.
Alright, what else we got? Megan, did you have something?
Yeah, so I know that it's beating a dead horse at this point, but, property code. Last month, I think I brought up the houses on Spring Street right by the tennis courts. They still look the exact same. I know letters were sent, but I don't think there's a follow through.
Can
And
we,
this is a big issue, and also with the grass cutting, I talked to street department, they're cutting only city properties right now. Next week, they're gonna start doing residential areas where it's vacant homes and people that just aren't cutting their grass. They're going to these houses cutting grass, and they told me it's $100 for like the tax lien. Our ordinance does not say an amount, which I know we've all discussed.
okay, let's make it $250.
Chime in there. When I did this ordinance, I remember when we did it, it does say in there, a fee set by council from time to time or whatever it
Yeah.
says in there. And I remember that there should be an accompanying resolution that set the fee somewhere.
So maybe it's just not updated yet.
Yeah,
Well, it's not,
resolutions
it's
will
not,
not get codified.
it's
Okay.
not, the amount's not gonna show up in the codified ordinances, but by you still have the ability by resolution to set the fee. And the reason why I did that is
what we
because
did.
I didn't wanna
I thought
have
we
to go
raised it.
through
We did.
I thought we did too.
every time, if we wanted to change it in the future,
Yeah.
I didn't wanna have to go and revise the entire
So the-
ordinance just to
let's be
change the
fair.
So
amount of
the
it.
fee would be mandated by the safety service director on
Well,
what.
No, it would be
It's set-
mandated by us through resolution,
Through a
it just wouldn't be
resolution.
into the codified.
But
correct.
with the resolution, no, he would enforce that.
Correct,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Correct.
so let's make it, I mean, I would say $250.
but first, I think we need to check to see if
I
there
think it's
was-
$150.
Per cut,
Yeah,
I think it's
thought
100.
I think it's 100.
I think it was 100 and I thought we raised it to
Okay,
150.
well, your memory's a lot,
I thought
Better
that
than
we
mine.
did,
I
I
thought
know
we-
we had at least discussed
per
it.
Yeah, I
cut
know
or?
we-
Per cut, oh yeah,
And then after so many cuts,
what all's gonna get appropriated to the
We
you
thought
have
tax.
to start
Increase
finding
it.
them a little bit more, or
Exactly, because these
whatnot,
people
correct?
are literally thanking the street department for cutting their grass,
Sure.
and it's a tax lien.
Well,
so
and
you don't
I'll be
understand it.
honest too, yeah, not only that, if you call somebody to cut your grass, it's
$50 a
it's
week.
$60.
For
I
one
mean,
time,
they're like,
yeah.
we got our guys going out there wasting their time cutting grass that's 2
Yeah.
feet high, beating our city equipment.
Yeah, and that's what else they said, the
For
blades-
$100?
the blades on the mowers are
That's
getting
not,
destroyed.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
not worth
So
it
it's
They
anymore.
don't know
45
what's
bucks a
underneath
mower.
that.
So let's look to
Exactly.
bump that to 250.
Sure, I agree.
Let's
Then they'll learn their
also,
lesson, yeah.
hang on, let's also take out the part of the ordinance that mandates us to notify them with a 7-day letter.
No, because they know.
They know,
Exactly.
so let's,
Stop.
did we do that before? We're not on the letter system here.
No,
That
we
takes up too
shouldn't
many
be.
man
It
hours,
does.
too much time,
Just
and,
cite them.
and
Just,
ju-
just
It
cite
gives
them.
them, yeah, it
I'm
gives them
sorry,
too
these
much
people
time.
have
A letter gives them 90 days, right?
Campers.
yeah, I mean,
You can't tell
the
me
thing
they don't
is,
what we did was, if I remember correctly, my recollection, and I'm reading it right now though, is that we said for the first time, we would send a notice, and then after that, no notice.
well, I would rather just send no notice. You know if your grass needs to be cut or if
Yeah.
it doesn't. I mean, that,
Maybe
and
not
listen,
just-
we're,
maybe a door hanger or something.
The
let's
first-
be
we have
realistic.
it currently says the first identified violation per calendar year.
Alright, look,
And then after that, you're not required to send any
look,
notice.
let's get rid of it. Do we have on there, is it a height scale about how we cut
6
them?
inches.
We should, 6 inches isn't very high, I'm
No,
just
no,
gonna be
no, no.
honest.
Cause they want you to cut it at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really not that high, we should probably raise it to 8 inches or
I think we
something
should
like
touch
that. 6 inches isn't
Do you really
We
think
cut
you're
grasses,
saying
we cut
that-
grasses on 5 inches
But do you
sometimes,
think
so,
that people are
just
gonna
so
go
you're
out there and
realistic.
measure?
No,
That's
no, but
saying.
what
A
I'm
2-inch
saying is-
difference, does it really matter?
But
I
you
guess
know
what
what,
I'm
though?
saying, Meg, if we're,
When I look at my yard, I know when it needs cut.
Right.
Exactly, you should just know by
I
looking at
understand,
it.
here's my only reasoning for that, and I really don't, I don't even care to argue about it, so whatever. You know your grass needs cut, right?
Yeah.
But if we're not gonna send you a letter anymore saying you should cut it, or you're getting fined, or this or that, I think we should kind of bump up
should've done a
at 8
resolution.
inches. 8 inches is pretty high, it's not crazy. We drove around, there's a lot of yards that
Yeah.
are far higher than 8 inches.
This last week has been brutal on
It
yards.
has,
Oh,
it
yeah,
has.
It really has.
But I guess that's why I'm saying if we keep it at 6 inches, if there's a bad week of rain, and people didn't get to it, your grass is gonna be 6 inches, that's for sure, in a 2 week span. We're after people who are not cutting their grass 3-4 weeks that are
So, yeah,
really getting
what
high,
do we
right?
do about the county properties? In
The land bank
Yeah.
properties, they cut theirs, right?
Yeah.
But some of them are getting pretty high right now.
I think, to be honest, the mayor can request those properties fall into the city, but then we're responsible for them in the same
you know,
regard.
The one where I'm talking about the garage.
Okay.
I got sent a picture because the grass is really high there.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know that's the land bank's property.
right.
They need to do good cleanup on those things too. They run the mower over there and
Just
they leave it there.
there, yes, they do.
Like my nephew's house, he sent me a picture of the one right next to 717.
I've seen it, it was terrible.
All over the all
San
over.
Renee?
Yeah,
Yeah,
You see
it
it?
really bad.
yeah,
I don't know who cut it. Is it house vacant?
yeah. It's owned by 717.
Okay.
So are they under our property maintenance code?
Yeah, absolutely they are.
So they need to, they
That
need to step up.
just because something is bank owned,
Yeah,
it is, they still have to follow
Right.
our guidelines. So from now on, bump that up to 250, if they don't cut their grass, we cut it, we appropriate it on the taxes. A bank owning it is even better, because that bank is gonna sell that property. And when that property gets sold, we'll get our money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, I think it should go to 250. I think the
At a
times that
minimum.
we live in now and what it
Yeah.
costs to get maintenance and lawn maintenance done, and we don't wanna waste our guys' time.
no.
The street
No.
department has a lot of other stuff to do.
Just the
Yeah.
upkeep of
So,
our machines.
let's-
But also, this isn't just about the high grass, this is also about complaints that we've had about houses that have
Are continuous.
trash all over the
Yeah.
place.
I get that.
And
we have a
So
never-
look, that's what I was saying before though, let's try to tailor these ordinances and really make them so they
But-
can't not
But
get
we
them.
already
But,
have the
yeah, they're not
Yes.
being enforced.
That's the problem.
And that's
we
the,
have.
that's the argument I brought up last month, was the whole eyesore, like what is an eyesore to Lori might not be one to me.
Well,
I
no,
understand that, but like when there's
define it.
trash all over the place,
Yeah.
I
bottom
agree.
line, that can be cited.
Yes, but we've also had this conversation before on certain things, and certain things are supposed to fall under eyesore.
Mhm.
Or just basic, generally looking
Yeah.
terrible.
I mean, there's houses with windows broke out, boarded up windows, things
Those,
like that.
the boarded up windows and the broken out windows, we have ordinance that
We do
specifically
specifically say that.
say those two.
And we have
Yeah.
ones that say you can't have furniture on your, indoor furniture outside, your couch
Front
can't
porch,
be on your
correct.
front porch.
I can honestly say Billy Minchin has a list like this that he goes to almost
But
every day.
going
I
to
was down
them
here and he
is-
showed me, he goes, this is what I got, this is what
I
I
will
got.
say the same thing,
He
like I
already,
said,
he already had my nephews on before I even came down here.
I'm not somebody who is nonstop calling Billy. When I do have an issue and I call him direct, it does get taken care of. Now, that doesn't negate the rest of the city that needs done.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I feel like we should be harder on these people, and I would like to see what our ordinance actually specifically reads. We've changed it a few times, and that's when it kind of gets like, did we,
Let's get
did we
stricter.
do
Let's
this? Did we
institute it
do
then.
that? Did we?
That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Especially on bank owned landlords, people like that. I completely understand Billy's point and all law needs to be enforced, but when you're dealing with a 90-year-old lady that has no money,
Absolutely.
you're a little bit more lenient than when you're dealing with a bank-owned property that just isn't taking care of it, right? That, I mean,
Or an
I
out-of-state
get
rental.
it that law should be basically blind.
Or realtors that aren't taking care of their
Exactly.
property.
Correct.
Yeah,
I mean, any of that, or just homeowners, people that are habitual offenders, that are lazy, that
Yeah.
are, you know, aside from being elderly or disabled, I really don't know what other excuse you would have. I'm
And
just being honest.
I'm not even saying
Being
people with
poor,
holes in their roof.
it doesn't take money to clean your stuff up.
No.
That's just the
That's
truth.
exactly
lazy.
it.
You know what I mean?
Bottom line.
So, I don't have a heavy heart for those people. Somebody who doesn't have the money and doesn't have the ability to go out there and do it, an elderly lady, a disabled
But
person.
if they reach out, maybe we could find some.
100%,
Exactly,
and
that's
we
what I
would be
said too.
fine with that, I
Sure.
think. But, 99% of these cases aren't that.
Right,
Aren't the elderly
No, it's a
lady who
fact of
can't do it,
laziness.
doesn't have the money.
Lazy.
And what's
Yeah,
sad is I've
exactly.
seen more elderly people take better care of their properties than
Sure.
these young
Mhm.
people that come
Yeah.
in and they just destroy everything.
Right,
What, did you say you wanna raise the grass cutting to 250?
I do.
Yeah.
Alright,
I
so
agree.
we'll get a resolution and maybe we can get that passed.
I'd like to get
Next
rid of the
week.
letter
Yeah.
system.
yeah, next week would be.
I feel like that's a waste of time.
Well, I remember the conversation, and I don't know who it was, but somebody had suggested, for the first time, I
Yeah,
remember that conversation being had, I just don't remember who.
And that's fine, but I think we're past that now.
Yeah.
But
These people know.
like how much time did they have after they got the letter? Do you
7
remember?
days. I
7
think it
days.
Is it 7 days?
It's 7 days, yeah.
I don't have a problem with that, because a lot of times, the
It
weather
takes, like,
we've
7
had
days
has
to get
been
out there,
so
too.
bad,
True.
I mean.
But if the
that-
weather was bad, we're not
Right.
gonna give letters.
Correct.
But that's
Yeah.
also why I said if we bumped up the height requirement, it would take, we wouldn't be able to target people who just didn't cut their grass for.
No, it's actually, the notice shall state that the owner has 3 days
Oh, I
to
don't have a
cut
problem
any
with that.
grass in
No.
I don't.
excess of 6 inches.
But
I
if
just
the
think we're
letters
wasting our
aren't
time
being
sending
sent
a
out,
letter.
What does it
Well,
matter
it
if
does,
they send
it
them
says
or
the
not?
notice, just so you know, the net, it's going out, it's not being sent, but it's being posted, shall also conspicuously state failure to comply with all,
Obviously, they don't know the ordinances, some of these people, or they just don't care.
They don't care.
So, but I'm thinking maybe, I mean, obviously letters and raising this up, give them a chance with the letter saying, hey, we warned
They only
you.
get one letter.
Yeah.
We warned you, now you're gonna get
But
fined.
the
Yeah,
thing is,
it
if he's
just-
going to the house and talking to the
So you
people
can
and he's not
post it
sending
to
a
the
letter,
front
what kind
door.
of paper trail is there?
It's the same as an eviction notice.
Yeah,
handing the notice to the owner or leaving the notice at the property owner's usual residence, so one of those 3 would suffice. So all Bill would have to do is go out and post it to the door, person would have 3 days from then, and then that's the only notice that you have to send out, give for the rest of the year.
So if he posts it to the door, does he have to have proof that does he have to take a picture of it or anything, like paper trail wise, where the people?
I
He
mean,
usually just probably puts it and takes a photo to prove it.
It's
Okay.
That's what I said,
good-
can he just
it's
take a
good
picture
practice
just
to do
have
that.
it?
Yeah,
I think that's something that we
like
need to,
the UPS people
Yes.
do, yeah, or the, yeah.
I think that's
delivery.
definitely something we need to do,
Yeah,
because
like
people
the
will come back and
Amazon.
say, it was never on my
I
door.
also feel like we're demanding a lot of time
Yeah.
for something that
Should
you
be
should
taken
do.
care of.
Like
Yep.
now we're sending we have our guy
So,
going
but-
out and putting up a letter.
Yeah,
Then and that doesn't
are
happen. Our
these-
street department is going out there. I just feel like
are these
you
rent-
you gotta
are
cut
these
it.
rental properties where the renters don't have a lawnmower?
I'll be honest with you. I've recently bought a slew of rental properties here in the city. And it wasn't in the contract for me to cut the grass. They were to cut the grass, and at least 4 of them were way too high. So what I did was I explained that in 30 days now your rent will be raised. We now cut the grass because it can't look like this.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
we're not going. And if you can't, pay the rent raise for us to take care of the lawn anymore, then you have to move out.
Yeah.
That's just we can't play these games forever.
So
Yeah.
are
You know.
the
I'll get a resolution next week, they're
the
increasing.
renters, not the the guys that are renting, like yourself, are they enforcing that on their renters? I mean, like,
I mean that I don't know. I'm saying this is something.
but shouldn't that all been with that
Yeah.
big deal that we had with
The landlord registration
with
and all that.
landlord registration?
We could. I don't think other places enforce that, to be honest. I don't know of any other place that has an ordinance that says if you're a landlord and you rent a house, you must be responsible for grass cutting or lawn maintenance, and you then have to go onto the renter for it. I don't know.
But see, the thing is if the renter doesn't do it for a certain amount of time,
It falls on the landlord.
We do go to the landlord.
Correct.
Because I've talked to Mike, he owns a few houses, and
Yeah.
I told him, I said, this grass is getting, and he called him right then and there.
it may be
Right.
the renter's agreement too, where you put in there, hey, this
That's why I said, like, what I went
have
to
to have
these
a
people
renter's
and just said, listen,
this is what it is.
I cannot have we're making strides. What we did when we bought these was we went inside and got everything that we needed to get fixed for the most part fixed. So we can get people into the house, they start generating revenue, we fix the outside of the house, and everybody's happy.
I mean, I know you can't babysit a lot of your houses, but I mean, I do with mine, the ones that I have, but you can do that probably.
Yeah.
As being a renter, and you know, being responsible for your property, and go stick something under it, say, hey,
Yeah,
it's 3 days here for you to cut it. Now, if you ain't gonna cut it, just, the renter will cut it, but now you're gonna get charged on top of your rent for the month.
Sure. So,
That's
sure.
what we
So
can do.
what I did basically was
Yeah.
took this out
That's
of
what I
their
did.
hands. It's gotten too high.
Yeah.
I don't want this to keep reoccurring. We are now responsible for it. You will now get billed for
Build for it.
And what we do is we put it into their rent all year round. So we carved out a general amount of cuts in a year is 30. So if you're gonna charge $40 a cut times 30, that's 1,200. That's $100 a month. So instead of paying 200 all summer, you just pay 100 all year round.
So you put it
So
on
you
top of
put,
the
put it on
rent.
top of their rent.
So if it's
And
800, it's,
then you're responsible for it. You don't have to worry about the tenant taking care of it. Now, some tenants may not be able to afford it, and some tenants may do a good job of taking care of it themselves. That's why not all of ours are like that, but
Right.
certain ones that I've bought lately, these people weren't taking care of them, and this was probably bad past practice from them owning it prior to me. But now I can't gamble on that, so this is something that is a problem. We're just going to do it.
right.
You know, it's obviously a little bit easier for me than somebody else because I have
Yeah.
an
You
employee
have-
that goes and
you-
does it. So
right.
it's not. I'm not saying that every landlord this is an easy thing for them,
Yeah.
but if you have tenants that aren't cutting their grass on a regular basis and it's ridiculously
So it
high,
eventually falls on the landlord.
it's going to
Yeah,
fall on
exactly.
you. So,
So,
you
it's your
know,
property.
Why
and
not?
now it's going to fall on you to the tune of $250, not $100, which would have cost you 60 to get it cut anyway. So
So, okay, so we find a renter 200, if this is all renter, you know,
Right.
not all of them are
No.
renters. So if we find a renter $250.
you're not, you're finding the homeowner, so it's going on the taxes,
going-
so it's going on the
On
landlord,
the landlord, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
which is fine. I mean, that's how it should be, truly.
should we put that in the landlord registration?
I don't,
Do we
I don't-
still do that?
I'm sure we could make a.
Because, you know what, we spent a lot of money on that program and they got rid of it without even telling us. And they put something in there and I don't know what the hell it is.
yeah, we don't even know what that program is now. And actually,
So-
Billy was using a spreadsheet last I heard, so I don't even know if we have a second
right.
program.
So, and we spent a lot of money on that program.
Mhm.
And it was kinda useless,
It was 30,000 or
yeah.
something.
I don't remember what it was.
I thought
There
it
was an annual
I
fee
thought it was
too.
30,000.
But yeah, to me, moving forward, again, I don't have an issue with any of it other than, you know, you gotta cut your grass. I don't think we need a letter to tell you that.
So
No,
going
I
forward, like the
think-
property code besides the grass, for any fees we have, when they get cited, when they actually get cited, should we look at those fees? Cause that's given by the
How many
court though,
people
right?
get cited?
What's that?
Well, it depends on, I'm sorry,
many?
let me cut you off, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead, no, go
But are
ahead.
we
Your
citing,
meeting, go ahead.
are we citing people?
I don't think so.
We, if you remember, we went to the administrative,
Side of it,
fines, administrative fines in lieu of, cause we were trying to keep people out of court and to do this administratively. So there is in our ordinances, I believe, it does specify that the amounts for the administrative fines. Now, whether people are actually receiving administrative citations, that I don't know, that's something for Bob and or Bill. But no, I haven't had anything through the courts on a housing code issue in probably since we amended the ordinances to provide for those administrative citations. And that
So are
was
we
one of the
better
things
off-
that the program was,
Using administrative citations, or are we better off just doing it back into the court?
well, and the reason why we had had a discussion about making it administrative is one, it would take it out of the court where, the court costs were a bulk of whatever a person would get hit with,
Yeah.
and that would go into the court and get, I don't know how the court
Yeah.
costs get, but the
Split up.
administrative
Fees in
fines
general,
would
yeah.
all go to us. So that was, I
Well, obviously,
thought,
that's better.
correct, and it,
If it's generating revenue, it's better. You know what I mean?
and I think just fundamentally, I think, now, our ordinances still do allow for people to get cited into court, but I think fundamentally, it's probably best to keep housing code violations away from the courts if at all possible. Now, you're going to have those individuals that are not going to be, that are gonna be a problem, and if
Yeah, but what
if it's-
teeth do you have to make them pay if you're not going through the court, if they're just administrative fines?
It would get assessed to the real estate taxes.
But that's our only recourse, correct?
Correct.
Well, if somebody don't pay
Correct.
their taxes for a decade, we don't get the
Yeah,
money.
it
Exactly,
really
that's what I said
doesn't-
about the grass
right?
cutting.
Well,
doesn't correct
correct,
the
but
problem.
I can't answer the question on,
I understand,
Who doesn't pay the
I
bills?
guess in my thing, people are far more prone to pay these through the court with actual court ramifications versus paying them through the administration where,
Tax lien, yeah.
So if you had court.
That's
yeah,
my- I
but
guess
you're
my-
not, but that money that, again, I don't know, I think this is I'll have to talk to the court about it, but the fine money, I don't know if that might be $25, $50, because the court costs are $120. So, I don't know where the fine money necessarily goes to.
yeah,
We
no, I
get-
understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, I guess, I understand the fact that if we go through the court system, we're getting far less revenue into the general fund,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
However, if people aren't paying the administrative fines and would pay the court fines,
Well, I think the bigger issue is the administrative fines enough to get people to comply with the
That-
ordinance? And like I said, if it is, great, then it is doing its job.
yeah.
But, and you always can fall back on for the problem situations and the problem home, properties, you can always fall back on the courts. You
Yeah.
still have that as an option if it.
No, I mean, this is somewhat a double-edged sword, because I do like the fact that Billy goes out and speaks with the people and knows when there is an elderly lady, when there is somebody who
Sure.
really can't do this. Cause at that point, we should try to help them as much as we can.
Sure.
But I also do see a lot of blight.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like it that he goes out and communicates with the people, but I also do think at some point, fines do need to be, and citations do need to be implemented.
So after-
It's like, how many times does he have to go to the same place?
But I mean, if it is something that is plain as day, if your grass is 2 feet high, I don't think you should have to go there and talk. I think
No.
you should just, this
Give
is,
the order
this
for
is
us to
out of.
cut it.
Well,
you
don't we
know,
have a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, whatever,
No,
straight, and
I
then
don't
a
know
third,
if
and
I
a
think we
third
got
time
rid
you
of
have a
that.
I
fine?
think we got rid of that.
We
Did
got
we
rid
get
of
rid of
I
that
thought
too?
that was a good deal though.
I mean, why not? I mean, if
3 strikes, you're out,
if it
and
has to go to the
you-
court and you have to, and your fines aren't paid, if there's jail time to be involved, then just do it. I understand
So
the administrative
after- Yeah, but
side, we get our money,
I-
but the other court side, we could
I
mandate.
think there's going to be a reluctance, I don't wanna speak for the judge, but I would think if it's just a third violation of a housing code, there's going to be a reluctance to put somebody in jail
Yeah.
for a third offense
But,
housing.
I got that.
I remember Judge Lanzo saying that I would rather them spend the money on fixing the problem than paying court costs.
I
And there's a
agree.
good
Yeah.
point to
There,
that,
there is,
but then there's people that just don't.
They don't care.
really give
They don't
a
yeah,
crap,
yeah.
they don't
And
really
some
care.
of it is like the out of town landlords. Like I'm
Right.
sorry, but like,
Oh, yeah.
they're
Which
working
is
from
another problem
Florida.
as far as bringing them into court, because you can't
100%.
get them in the court.
Well, but
Exactly.
we did set up, they have to have a representative
Here and
here
then
within.
But is
so
it,
But
many-
being-
still,
is
if
it
you're
being
going-
adhered to?
If you have,
Exactly.
if you live in PA,
Yeah,
and you do have a representative for the sole purpose of accepting notices on your behalf, you can't charge the representative into court. We can't, we would have, the criminal laws would require that that person get served with the complaint
But-
according to the
But
criminal
since he's a
rules.
representative of that person, can't he represent that person
in court.
One, no, he's not a lawyer, and two, you can't cite the representative for we didn't put, you can't put the criminal
Yeah, I
responsibility
understand
on the
that. Yeah, right, yeah.
representative for the person. And you can't have the representative come in and speak on behalf of the homeowner in court, because that representative
homeowner-
is likely not an attorney.
Sure, but the homeowner can send an attorney on his behalf.
Well, first and foremost though, you gotta get the person served, and then what if they don't show up to court? What is the recourse in that situation? We're not gonna extradite them from PA.
But what
on a
happens if you
housing
don't
code.
show up in court now? You get a warrant.
Well, you get a warrant, but what not happens in most of the cases is at some point in time, if they're out of state, the warrants end up getting recalled and the cases end up getting dismissed anyways because they get so old. So you have a bunch of old cases sitting around for people that are in PA, West
So it
Virginia.
becomes a burden on our
Well, then
courts.
what-
It becomes a burden on the court, which is part of the reason why we were.
But there's
trying to
only
see-
certain solutions because we can't say, if you wanna own a house in Struthers, you have to live in this state.
Yeah.
No, can't,
We can't say that.
no,
I would like us to be able to say that, but we can't say that.
correct.
So where do we go?
The only thing I can think of was these administrative fines where it goes on to the real estate taxes and the person is paying. Now, you wanna increase the
Well,
administrative.
let's make the fines ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous.
I agree with that. I
I
agree with
agree
that.
100%.
Then do it, yeah, put them up.
So if somebody has, say, administrative fines, say they have 3 on there, say $3,000, can that be turned over to the courts? Like, how does that, like,
No,
after
it
so
goes on, it would
long?
go on, if it doesn't get paid, it goes on to the real estate taxes. And then if the real estate taxes aren't being paid, then at some point in time, there's gonna be a foreclosure. There's
yeah.
gonna be a foreclosure action filed by the county.
Which, that makes sense as long as when we do these, they are filing them with the county, so that they are going on to the real estate taxes.
Well, I can't speak, I don't know.
I understand, I'm just saying
That's
in
the way, that's the way
general.
it have to be done.
Just so I understand, so the taxing, they have to pay that every year, like it would come up every year,
What's gonna
right?
go
And
on to your
say-
taxes?
So every year they should be
As you're paying your taxes, if you're.
notified saying, hey, you got all this money you owe, like they should
Correct.
be aware of that every
Correct.
year.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and
So-
if they don't, and they'll know, but if they go down there and just pay their taxes and leave that fine on there, when they leave those fines built up on there, you could foreclose on their house over it, correct?
Well, the county can,
County can,
Correct.
yes. And that's, you end up in sheriff's sale.
correct.
Okay. I say let's.
And when it gets
have
sold in
fines.
sheriff's sale, it'll say fees, correct,
Have to
John?
be paid
Attributed
first,
with
right?
it, which would be back taxes or other things that could potentially be owed,
Taxes, assessments.
and then,
This would
Okay.
be an assessment.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, the taxes and assessments would need to get paid,
First,
correct,
through escrow.
on a sheriff's sale. Are you talking a sheriff's sale?
Yeah.
No, if it goes to a sheriff's sale, again, if in our situation, it's going to be the county who's going to be foreclosing on it. And first and foremost, the taxes and assessments are going to get paid before any other liens on that property.
Do we have, yes, yeah, I understand that, but do we have any influence over the county to say, listen, this house does not get taken care of, these people are back $10,000 in fees and taxes, why don't you foreclose on it? Do we have any, a foothold there?
Yes, I would think between Kat and I, if we reached out to the prosecutor's office and said there is a property that is seriously delinquent on real estate taxes,
Well,
can you please look into it for foreclosure?
The truth is, we're after getting these houses looking good and functioning for the
Yeah.
community.
and that's it.
Yeah, that's
If it came up, do we really care about the back fees that we didn't get, knowing
No.
moving forward, somebody's gonna get this and it's gonna be a viable part of the community? No, we don't. So that's why I keep saying, like, to put pressure on them to
Yeah.
foreclose and sell the home so that we can get somebody taking care of it now, or
Yeah.
at least that's what our hope would be.
Or if it doesn't sell, it could get forfeited to the land bank.
To land bank, yeah.
I agree. I think that the fees need to be
Let
raised.
me look at
to-
where they are now, I forget.
Go ahead.
No, cause we already answered that question, but I just kept thinking that the city doesn't have any way to foreclose on the property for fines. They have to get appropriated to the taxes, and then it has to go through the county.
Correct.
Okay.
The only thing that we would be able, that I can think of off the top of my head, is when there's a demolition, and we pay for the demolition, and then we sue for the recovery of the demolition cost, we get a judgment lien, and then at that time, we then could
Do we do
theoretically.
the same thing with our sewage bills? We get judgment liens against people for that, or real
Yeah,
estate liens?
Yeah, but it's not, it's cost prohibitive to go and file a foreclosure action for most sewage.
No, I'm just saying, well, some of them are a lot, but that's in very few cases.
Very
That they would be enough
Now,
to actually.
You yourself took over that, correct?
correct.
How's that going?
We're still plugging along, actually, I gotta get, Kat an update, I know that she needed it for the rate study. And so right now, as I sit here, all I can tell you is we've been going forward with it. There's been collections, but I don't really keep track of the collections that are coming in. I gotta get with Aqua and get sort of an updated on where we're at there.
Another thing I will say, going forward, I think that since we don't have like the iWorks or anything anymore, that we should get maybe some sort of report
Update, yeah, I agree.
once a month
Yeah, absolutely.
of what citations went out, what administrative fees, like any of that, any information.
brought
what
in.
So right,
properties, yeah,
and I didn't mean to cut you
absolutely.
off, but
Uh-huh.
Meg, right now, the administrative fines shall be assessed in the following amounts. $100 for a first violation, $250 for a second of within 1 year from the date of the prior violation, $500 for a third violation or subsequent violation of the same ordinance within 1 year.
I don't
So
think it should be the
1, 2,
same
5.
ordinance.
How many people do you think got made it to the 500?
Looking around,
No?
How many
I'm
people
just
should
asking.
have made it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm just
Right.
asking.
Is that a trick
We
question?
should have a report
And
on
probably
that.
did and never got
We
paid.
probably should have a report on that,
We
on who's
should.
been fined and what, how
What
many
has been paid.
times,
how many violations?
how many violations, and I think that's not much to ask for.
No. I agree,
Well, again, we thought that iWorks was basically gonna be that
yeah.
ticket for us, to
Well,
be
that's
able
what
to
we were
check
told.
and to,
That's what we were told.
you know, to actually be able to go on there and utilize it.
So when they come in and pay these fines, who do they go pay? If they come in and pay them, is what I'm saying.
They would pay the mayor's office, correct?
I don't know if they pay the mayor's office, I don't know if they, I don't know who takes them, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm asking, isn't there should be a line for that, where, hey, this is what we brought in this year on fines, correct?
I would think so, yes,
And if and when they are paid,
I would think so,
so there
yes.
should be a itemized line,
Line item
item to
on
that,
the budget, yeah.
on the budget for
Now,
that.
I don't know the answer to the question, I wonder out loud whether they're being enforced like they were when
Yeah.
Rudzik was here, I don't know the answer to the question.
And I understand that things might have not been right then, because I know that's brought up a lot, is we can't go back to that, but we could follow what we have on the
But the
books.
thing is, right or wrong, nothing has ever been done about it, so
Correct.
how wrong was it?
So maybe that's something we have to address then, that's all.
So, I mean, with those fines, what would you say for the first fine?
Oh,
Double
I think 250 is.
Double it,
Yeah.
200, 500,000,
I think
250, 500, 1,000.
I agree, that sounds good.
What I'm going to do is I'm gonna pretty much do the same thing that we did with the grass cutting, I'm just gonna say it might be set from time to time by resolution,
Yeah,
and then I'll have a resolution that'll double the fines.
Does it have to be resolution, or should we make it an ordinance?
I don't, just like the grass cutting, I don't, because if you want to change the amount of the fines going forward, there's not a need to amend our codified, and then, I don't know, do we pay whenever the codified, Megan, do we pay when we have to
Update the code?
update the codified?
Yes, we get,
So, that's a cost that we then incur,
Okay.
as opposed to just doing a resolution,
Okay,
and you
Still
have the
has to be
resolutions
followed.
setting the fee.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, but we only codified once a year,
Yeah.
so in like November is when I'll get all the
Okay.
legislation together and I send it out, and then you guys pass it at the very beginning of the year.
Is it a lump sum, or do they charge by how much legislation has been changed?
It's how much has been changed, and it's not only just our legislation, it's with the state as well,
Okay.
like the ORC and stuff, so
Mhm.
that gets codified in our book as well.
Okay.
So.
Alright, well, I think that's a couple things that we can ask for, is like a report, that John takes care of the resolutions.
Yeah.
I think that's a start in the right direction at least.
And I don't know, quite frankly, I don't know how an administrative citation is issued now, my understanding was it was always issued through iWorks.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a ticket book or how administrative citations would even be issued nowadays.
Yeah, you'd think there would be copies of it.
You would think so, yes,
Send the original here, I got a copy of it here.
yes, so without iWorks, again, I don't know how it's being done, if it's being done.
Maybe we need updated on that.
yeah.
I agree.
Yep,
Okay,
Thank you.
I agree.
thanks, John.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you came tonight.
I just wanna ask everybody's opinion on the court.
Court,
I say the same thing, I would have liked to have us not have our backs to each other. I get it, we're only there for a little bit of time, and it's not life or death, it's
Yeah.
not anything like that. If there was a solution,
But-
I would like to get that explored. If not, then we'll live with it how it is.
There's definitely enough seats here in these two desks, I mean, what do we use our desks for? Nothing,
Nothing.
I mean, we put our elbows
He was
on.
saying that
Yes.
you guys could be in the juror's box. If
Well,
you
not
wanted
even
to.
that, there's enough for council here, and then the guests could be in the juror's box.
I just like now, I look over and I could see, you know, you
Everybody,
three
yeah.
right there in front of me, and when we do have an issue that we're
Well,
talking
I
about.
think if the
I get
chairs,
to see,
if
you
the
know what I
chairs are
mean?
movable, the inside chairs, we can move around the tables,
Yeah,
Sure.
that would be fine.
and we would be able to see each
I
other.
mean, we
Not
only
that I
need,
wanna
there's
look at
only
you.
6 of us or 7 of us out there.
Right,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
And
I'm
our-
fine
and
with
our-
that.
And our guest podium could be right in front of this,
Yeah,
this area.
if the chairs are
I mean, we
movable,
could put the podium in front and they can stand on the other side of the
and
wall.
honestly, if the chairs are movable, we can take, instead of having 2, 2, and 2, 2, we could just put 3 and 3 facing each other and have one on the end. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll make it work. I
Yeah,
like
'cause I was
now
really
being
thinking
able to
they
see
could
everybody.
make those tables just a little bit longer to where we could do that, but it's no big deal.
I like the setup.
It's fine.
nice
I
setup.
again, the setup is really nice. I just like being able to see you guys when we're talking about something, or even knowing who is calling for a motion. I can
Yeah.
see you. I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying,
you
it's just
know,
gonna be awkward having
the-
your backs
Yeah,
towards
but
each other.
the thing is, you know, the actual council meetings are just
Oh,
procedural procedures.
sure. And we're
I mean,
like I said,
we settle everything in here right now, what we're doing right
right.
now.
And we're only in there a very short period of
Sure.
time. So again, I don't. Not making a stink about it or anything, but if we
I-
could figure out a way to arrange a chair so we could see each other,
That's
I
all.
think
that
we
would
can
be
make it
better.
work, yeah.
That's all.
I think we can make
Yeah, but it is a nice setup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
I think the room's gonna look good. But yeah, if those are movable chairs, we're fine.
it work. Yeah, I think Mike mentioned to him that have the
He wants
chairs,
to
be able to
swivel them.
swivel chairs
Yeah.
and things like that, but, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
just get some chairs like this.
yeah.
Good, I mean, then we could actually move to make that work for us a little better, that's all.
I mean, actually, you know,
Are the tables, anchored,
I don't know.
or are they movable?
I
That's
think
what I was
they're
just
gonna
gonna
be
say, if they're
movable. I
moving.
think they're gonna be movable.
Well, that's
Oh, if
good.
they're movable,
That's
we
good.
have no problem, it'll take
No.
us 2 seconds
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get it how we
Yeah.
need it for our meetings and put it back.
Yep, I think that's not a problem. Okay, I just wanted to get
Yeah.
everybody's
I mean,
input.
you could even put those two tables together.
Together, I
and
was
they are
just thinking
lengthwise,
that.
and then we're just,
We're-
see, that's what I mean, it's so easy to talk things out.
Right,
When we're texting, I just think it's,
yeah.
this is so much easier to like
If
talk
those
about.
tables and chairs are movable, that's perfect. We
Yeah,
could
you
sit
can
all
make that
7 of us at
long,
one table
just
where
like that.
we're,
It would
yeah.
be
But
one long
as,
table,
as,
but
as
the-
far as legislation being passed though, we've already talked about it
Yeah,
What do you mean?
in caucus, in our committee meeting.
Oh, I
You
understand
know what I
that.
mean? There's really,
for the brunt of the
Yeah.
work, but a lot of times too,
It would
things
even-
do get discussed to some
Sure,
extent
yeah,
out
I
there.
agree.
And I think maybe more people might start coming back to council meetings.
I doubt it,
But,
I doubt it.
You know, so.
I've been here a long time, and
I remember we used to have a
Mrs.
packed
Charles
house.
was probably the only dedicated person that came all the time. And, now it's John
Yeah,
DeRosa.
John,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Other than the Vindicator guy, there's, unless somebody has an issue,
Right.
that's the only time you see him.
Yeah,
Or if somebody's running for a position,
Yeah.
Right.
that's
We
the
had
only
to call
time you
back
see
If
him.
it
and
rains
down
real
there
hard.
when the-
Otherwise, there's
She was
nobody
like-
here,
again, if those tables were movable,
yeah.
I think we're fine,
Yeah,
you know, we're fine either way, but ideally, if those tables and chairs are movable,
I mean, let's face, I mean, we try to figure out how long it's gonna take to do the council meeting,
yeah,
before we even start it.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of minutes.
8 minutes.
sometimes.
So, I mean, I think
Last time it
seating,
was 38.
you know what, I could care less if I see his back or your back during the council
yeah, we had a
meeting.
real one, huh? We
Yeah,
had like
yeah.
we had a.
Yeah,
But, you know,
sometimes you get those, but like I
Sometimes.
said,
well, for the majority of the time, you don't.
we're in that office, we're in that room for a short period of time. It's
just
not a big
it's
deal.
Just a procedural thing that we do.
Like I said, if we could push those together,
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
you know.
I think this will work out just
You
fine.
know, we kinda do it funny here. Usually a caucus is, you get together in a kinda closed room, and you you get your ducks in a row, and a lot of the conversations we have before the actual council meeting should be held during the council meeting on the floor. It's kinda done weird here, and,
Right.
I mean, it's the way it's always been done since I got here, so.
Kind of what I'm saying, when we're actually out there on the floor, there's really nothing to
Right,
discuss.
right.
Yeah,
But I mean,
unless somebody, also sometimes somebody
Well-
brings a complaint
But
forward.
that's at the end.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as the procedural process goes, it's pretty simple and straightforward.
yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And now that anybody could watch and see
Yeah.
Yeah,
social
Yeah.
media,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think I've just been so used to it for all these years, us viewing each other while we're
Yeah.
going through the meeting, you know.
times
what I
are
mean?
changing.
It is getting
I'm
old
bad
for
with
us.
change.
Yeah, look at these fees.
Yeah, there you go. Raise them
Okay.
up, raise them up.
Yep.
Anybody have anything else for this committee? Call for motion to adjourn?